Hello, and welcome to another episode of Man versus Violin. Today is week 81, day 536. So 536 days of playing the violin every day. My goal right now is to get to 550 days, which is roughly a year and a half. So I've been very fortunate so far that I've been able to have the opportunity to practice every day for the last 536 days. What have I been practicing? I've been working primarily in Suzuki Book 2, and I'm working on a piece that's on page 13 of Suzuki Book 2. And this is a piece that was originally introduced in Suzuki Book 1, and it's called Long, Long Ago. Suzuki introduces the piece in Book 1, then in Book 2 reintroduces the piece on page 13, but adds a little variation to it. And so I'll play Long, Long Ago, then I'll play the variation, and then I'll play a variation to the variation. So the variation is kind of challenging. It keeps the same melody, but adds kind of a counterpoint, going back and forth between two strings. It's kind of a challenging piece for me to play because it involves getting the angle right, moving back and forth between the strings. So we'll see how that goes. But first, the original Long, Long Ago, which is in Book 1 and also page 13 of Book 2. Now the variation. Let's try that again. Okay, and now a little variation to the variation. So I'm going to change the tempo up a little bit, but still keep that same counterpoint going on between the strings. So a little funkier. Got a little bit of syncopation going on there with the variation. Definitely something I'm going to be practicing for a while because it involves that movement back and forth between the strings, trying to get the clarity of the notes while going back and forth with the angles. It's pretty tough. It's pretty tough, but Long, Long Ago is a good piece to work on that with. The initial piece is pretty basic, but it's got a nice melody, and it's something that you can build on. So I see why Suzuki chose this piece as kind of something to add a variation to. So one of the things over the last couple weeks that I've been working on is where I'm playing on the bow. So you might notice I've got some tape marking off this section of the bow. I had been traditionally, since I've been playing the violin, I've had a habit of playing more towards the frog end of the bow. But with this piece on page 13, it has a note that says use the upper half of the bow. So I've really been trying to force myself to use the top half of the bow. And it's been kind of a challenge because I've had to rethink my muscle memory. I've been really used to playing kind of up here with kind of a tightened shoulder. So the last few weeks I've really been working on relaxing my shoulder and playing with the top half of the bow and keeping my hand straight as I pull the bow down. I still have to work on my bowing angle a lot, but things take time. You can't work on everything at once. So what I've really been trying to do is work on my hand position on the bow and keeping my shoulder low, playing on the upper half of the bow, and really pulling through nice and relaxed when I play. It's trying to reset that muscle memory, just trying to relax things, but it's coming along, and I think I'm going to continue working on this particular piece until I feel kind of comfortable doing that. So in Suzuki Book 2, long ago comes after a piece called Hunter's Chorus, but I'm kind of going in reverse order. I'm doing long ago first, then when I feel pretty comfortable with that, I'm going to go back to Hunter's Chorus and work on that. So the violin, what's been going on with the violin? About 2 weeks ago, I noticed that my A string was starting to unwind. Kind of right in here, it was starting to unwind. So those were the original strings that came with the violin. The violin is a Fiddler Shop Symphony violin, and it had really good quality strings on it, but they were the original strings. They were over a year old, and playing every day just kind of took its toll on the strings. So I removed all the strings, and promptly, you can guess what happened. The sound post fell out. Oh no. So I got some tools, and I put the sound post back, and I think you can kind of see the sound post right in there. It's behind the bridge, underneath the E string. I think you can kind of see that little guy in there. So I think that for me it's important to be able to do basic maintenance on my musical instruments. I'm no luthier, but being able to change strings, being able to replace a sound post if it falls, I think those are kind of some basic skills that you shouldn't be afraid of doing with the violin. I know with my other instruments, take the bass for example, you kind of want to know how to change pickups, how to adjust the pickup height, how to change potentiometers, how to solder potentiometers, how to solder your input jack, stuff like that. So the more you feel comfortable making some basic repairs with any instrument, basic adjustments, basic repairs, I think it's good. It helps build a connection between you and the instrument. I don't think it's good to be running to the shop all the time and, saying, hey, can you fix this? Can you fix that? So definitely with the violin, now that I've replaced the sound post, it's not as scary or intimidating as it seems. In fact, it's pretty easy. And I think I've got it positioned pretty well. The violin sounds good. The E string doesn't sound too loud, and I think I've got it placed pretty well. So the next time I change the strings, if the sound post falls out, no big deal. I can reset the sound post myself, no problem. Yeah, that's about all that's been going on. I'm going to continue working on page 13, Long Ago, and I think it's a good piece to continue working on. I'm also working on some other books as well, just to kind of work on scales and things and kind of hearing where the notes are. The violin, it's very difficult for me to hear the exact proper finger placement because it's not a fretted instrument. So I think I'm getting better at that, but it's a work in progress. You start with a new musical instrument, you're not going to sound great right away. It takes some level of practice and some level of attuning your ear to the sound of the instrument. So with that said, thank you for tuning into this episode, and keep practicing, because that's what Paganini would definitely do.